Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. If my voice sounds weird right now, it's because I've been sick for the past few days, so bear with me. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe just keeps chugging along, doesn't it? We're up to Wave 3 of the Booster Course Pass, and honestly, this might be one of my favorite waves so far. Some of these courses on here were my favorites when they originally released, so to be able to play them on a modern console, and in Mario Kart 8 no less, is really cool. I mean, we've already gotten great courses like Coconut Mall, Waluigi Pinball, and we even got some great tour tracks. Granted, some of them are misses, but for the most part, they're at least decent. And for someone like me who hasn't played a ton of tour, they're basically brand new tracks. So let's get into the courses, shall we? We're going to start with the Rock Cup, and the first course we have is London Loop. London Loop is probably my least favorite track in the entire wave. Not a great impression, to be honest with you, as the first track of the first cup in this wave, it just doesn't make a big splash in my opinion. Yeah, it's kind of cool going through the streets of this cartoon London, but honestly, it just kind of feels like any other city track. And this is kind of an issue with tour tracks. A lot of these places are inspired by real world locations. But even then, I feel like they can make them different enough to where they don't all feel the same. Fortunately, there are other tour tracks that are able to distinguish themselves from other tour tracks, but this one just feels kind of basic, which is such a shame, but I don't know, I just don't really feel much for this one. The landmark I distinctly remember is probably the bridge, and that's about it. Up next is Boo Lake. Now, I'm not too familiar with the original version, but this one is actually pretty neat. I actually dig this one. It's not like crazy or anything, but for what it is, it's a pretty solid track. You have underwater sections, you have anti-grav, you have spooky atmosphere. And yeah, normally I don't like spooky atmosphere mixed with water because for some reason in my head it makes it less spooky. But in this level, it kind of works. I dig it. Up next we have Rock Mountain from the 3DS. Now, I really enjoyed Mario Kart 7. And I know a lot of people kind of brushed it by, but I really enjoyed that game. Yeah, it had some weird omissions and all that, but I don't care. It was a solid game. It's not as memorable as, say, Mario Kart DS or anything, but it was still a really good time. That being said, this track is kind of a beginner's track, if you will, kind of showing off how the glider works, so to a lot of people, it's going to feel pretty basic. But at the same time, for what it is, again, it's kind of a solid track. There's one little nitpick that I have with this track, and it's very little, but when you go up the mountain, the way the dash panels and the anti-gravity panels are spread out are just a little too far. They're spread out a little too far for my liking. I know it's a weird thing to poke at the placement of it all, but it just seems a little off for some reason. But either way, if you can ignore these basic textures in this track, then what you have left is a pretty solid track overall. Just don't expect it to blow your mind or anything. Maple Treeway is one of my favorite Mario Kart tracks ever. And in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, they absolutely deliver on Maple Treeway. To the point that I can't really knock anything against this track compared to the original. I mean, once you look at the original compared to this track, yeah, it's kind of night and day. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's of course a charm to the Wii version because it's the original, and that's going to be a nostalgic thing. But here, it just looks beautiful, and the textures, oddly enough, I think look better than most of the tracks on this list. I think the tree textures and the ground textures are actually pretty good, which I was not really expecting from this course. The autumn colors look as beautiful as ever, and the music is so good. Holy crap. Yeah, this is still one of my favorite tracks. Not only is the track layout iconic, but they also included the half pipe from Wii, which I don't remember there being a half pipe in Maple Treeway on the Wii. I could be wrong on that, but the fact that they added the half pipe mechanic from Mario Kart Wii is insane. Like, I don't even think Coconut Mall had half pipe in Mario Kart 8. Like, that's crazy to me that they added it in Maple Treeway out of all tracks, but not Coconut Mall. I'm not complaining, mind you. I love the half-pipe mechanic, but still, it's a little weird, but I love it, and I love that they included it here. Okay, now we can get on to the Moon Cup. And first up, we have Berlin Byways. I think Berlin Byway does a pretty good job at separating itself from other tour tracks. I think it's the layout and the distinct landmarks here in Berlin that you don't see in other places. Like, the course itself feels a bit bigger and more stretched out than something like London Loop. Instead of it feeling condensed into a track, it feels like there's a bit more room to breathe in a weird way. I wouldn't say it's my favorite tour track though. I wouldn't go that far in that direction, but I like it more so than London Loop. That and the music in this one is pretty different from what you normally hear in Mario Kart. So yeah, this one's pretty good. Peach Gardens has never been my favorite Mario Kart track. I think it's just kind of okay. Like, it's just Peach's garden with her hedges and stuff. To me, it's just not really something too special. That might be controversial, I'm not sure, but it just never really stood out to me as a track. That being said, I like what they do here to kind of give it a bit more flair. On lap 3, you go backwards on the track, which kind of gives you a different perspective from what you've been driving on, which is really nice. It doesn't do too much, but it makes it different enough and worth mentioning. I think visually it looks good. There's nothing wrong with it visually, but again, it's a good track. It's just one that I normally don't look forward to playing. Although I will say, I kind of like the new hedges, the new, like, it shows Peach and Luigi. I like that. I don't remember that on DS. It might have been on Wii. I can't remember. But at the same time, I kind of liked that the hedges in those two games were able to cover up Chain Chomp, or at least I remember them covering up Chain Chomp, and that kind of made it more chaotic and more frantic when, you can't see the Chain Chomp coming around the corner and then you get attacked by one. Here, you can kind of see what's coming around the corner, or at least from what I played. Up next, we have Merry Mountain. Now, this might come as a shock to you, but I like Christmas. I think the reason I like Merry Mountain more than I probably should is the fact that the visuals are just so stunning. I love the Christmas decorations here, and it kind of makes this track more distinct from other courses. Like, yeah, we have other snowy tracks, but I don't think we've had a Christmas theme track, which is really nice and kind of surprising at the same time. Also love the fact that there's like flying trains around here. I love me some good old flying trains, and here it does it for me. I love it. I think the course itself is kind of basic, but again, the visuals really make up for it for me. I do like how there are some layers to this track though. Like in this one section, you can go up the train track, which is really cool. That, and they have a Mario Kart Wii halfpipe. Enough said. Last, we have another Rainbow Road. But don't worry, fellas. This is the best one. Rainbow Road as itself is pretty neat, right? You're driving on this pretty challenging strip of a rainbow, and you're trying not to fall off the edges and stuff. That's all neat and cool, but it can kind of get repetitive after a while. But what if I told you that there was a Rainbow Road track that took you into space, and not just space where it's just nothing but stars. No, instead there's planets that you can traverse on, a moon that you can stroll on. Rainbow Road from Mario Kart 7 is the best Rainbow Road in my opinion. It takes you places. It's like an adventure, and honestly, it reminds me of Mario Galaxy, which is probably why I like it so much, honestly. If you want me to like something, just say it's Mario Galaxy related, and I'll like it. But Rainbow Road from the 3DS is something special. I mean, the rainbow itself has this kind of texture to it, or has this kind of look to it that is so visually distinct from any other Rainbow Roads. It's so cool how they're able to make all these Rainbow Roads very distinct from one another. And this one is the most unique one. Again, you can traverse the solar system, essentially. You can drive on stuff like Saturn's ring. That's so cool. Honestly, no wonder this is one of my favorite waves. It has two of my favorite courses of all time. And we are halfway through this booster course pass. That's crazy to me that we have 3 other waves to this game. And I haven't even mentioned the new update that lets you customize your items both online and offline. Holy crap! I didn't know they're going to add these substantial updates. This gives me hope that maybe, just maybe, they'll add some characters, some new costumes maybe. I don't know, just something to give the roster more life. Okay, I think that's about it for now. I am tired. But before I go, let me know down in the comments below what you thought of Wave 3. Did you enjoy these tracks overall, or were you a bit disappointed in the selection here? Or just how they were treated as porting over from Tour? Let me know down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. God bless.